Hey everyone, and thanks for coming to the Tribe Watersports YouTube channel. Today we're going to do another Tribe tutorial and we're going to talk you through body dragging. This is the fundamental way of practicing how to kite surf without using a board. We're going to go through those 4 body drags for you, that being a downwind body drag, a crosswind body drag, upwind body drag, and a final one called a balance body drag. Please remember that this video is used as a review for your kitesurfing lesson and not for a replacement of your kitesurfing lesson. If you want to learn to kitesurf, we do recommend going to learn with a qualified kitesurfing instructor or joining us even better here at Tribe Watersports in Watamu. So to start off with today, we're going to do our first basic body drag. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not actually a massive fan of this body drag and I don't tend to use it that much with our lessons, particularly when it's windy because it does get quite aggressive and the kite can lift you up quite a bit with it. So don't be unnerved if you find that they don't do this body drag in your kitesurfing lesson, but it's in the rule book of what we're supposed to teach everyone, so we'll go through it anyway. It's called a downwind body drag, and basically what it involves is diving the kite back and forth across the center of the wind window, doing an even dive either side of it to pull us in a straight line downwind. So when we're steering our kite, we're just pulling on the ends of the bar like we were doing with our foil kite in previous videos, or you will have already done in your lesson so far at this point, and we're steering the kite to the left and the right hand side. And as I already mentioned, what's important when I do this is when I take the kite to the right, it follows through and takes the same distance to the left hand side. Now with all these body drags, and I won't repeat myself, so with all these body drags, when we're doing the drag, we want to let the kite pull us through the water. We're not fighting and resisting the kite. Be prepared for that pull from the kite and go with it rather than fighting back against it. We're going to drop down to our knees in the water. We're going to pull the bar in slightly for some tension, and we're going to start diving the kite. And as we do that, we're going to fall forward onto our chest, and we're going to steer the kite back and forth to the left and right as I've indicated already. So here goes. Down to the right. So when you're watching this video, I want you to have a look at how my arms are working, and you'll probably want to jump back actually to have a look at this as you review it. But when I'm steering the kite, I'm using both hands to control the kite. I'm pushing and pulling with the bar. And you're not gripping onto the bar for dear life. You've got a nice loose grip on the bar and you're steering the kite to the right and the left hand side, using both hands to steer the kite left and right, rather than just pulling left and just pulling right. It's soft and feathered, not aggressive and hard. So now on to the second body drag, the crosswind body drag. Now this is probably the most important skill that you can practice as a kitesurfer in relation to actually flying your kite. It's how we generate power to pull ourselves in a particular direction. So if I want to go right and out to sea in this instance, or left and back towards land. It's something that you can never practice enough until you can really do it almost with your eyes closed. And what it entails is diving the kite on the one side of the wind window from 12 o'clock down to the water and back up to 12 o'clock again, bringing that kite up and down solely on the right hand side of the wind window to pull us in that direction. So here we go again. I'm going to drop down on my knees, I'm going to fall forward on my chest, and again make sure that you keep your legs straight and out behind you to help you keep yourself balanced in the water. So pull this bar in for some power, and off we go. Down to the right. And to stop, I'm just going to bring the kite above my head to 12 o'clock. I'm going to push the bar away slightly and stand myself up. As you'll see in that clip, rather than heading towards the beach in a more downwindly direction, I'm actually traveling parallel to the beach in a right-hand side direction. When you're practicing this exercise, don't expect to go straight out to sea. You are still going to go downwind, but in a more right-hand side direction or a more left-hand side direction. Because you haven't got the resistance of a board, your body can only resist the kite so much, so you will still travel downwind. So don't be worried if you're not actually cutting straight out to sea. Okay, so third on our list today is our upwind body drag. Now this is a big confidence booster for any beginner kite surfer, because this is how we're going to get back to our board if we fall off the board. So this actually breaks down into two parts, upwind body dragging. The first aspect of it is learning really how to fly and control your kite with one hand. So when we're controlling and managing the kite with one hand, it's really important to be aware that we're never steering the kite. It's always only ever a matter of keeping the kite steady in the sky. So for example, I've got the kite above my head at 12 o'clock here. I've got my left hand in the middle or my right hand in the middle. I'm just keeping the kite nice and still. Now I'm going to bring it over to the right hand side. And again, notice how I'm using two hands to steer the kite and bringing it over to the right hand side. Now when I want to control the kite on the right hand side of the wind window, I'm going to use my left hand. The physics of controlling the kite is easier with the kite on the right using your left hand. I've got my thumb underneath the bar, I've split the middle and index finger around the center lines here, and I'm just using this thumb to give me a bit of support to help keep the kite balanced in the sky as it flies there. When I want to bring the kite to the other side, I'm going to steer with both hands again. And again, this is really important. Whenever you're steering the kite, you want to use both hands. So the kite comes over to the left-hand side. I'm going to use my right hand on the bar because the physics of flying the kite is easy this way. And as it comes to it, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to keep the kite nice and balanced as it flies in the sky. And our upwind body drag is just an evolution of this process. So the upwind body drag is all about creating resistance against the kite. The reason we need to learn how to fly the kite one-handed is so we can use our other hand to create maximum resistance against the kite in order for us to cut across the wind and through the water. Now, one of the big common mistakes people make with this exercise is this hand, rather than being used to create resistance, people try and use it as a reference to where they want to go. Now that means if I point, for example, straight up into the wind, because my board's behind me, then I'm actually not creating any resistance and I'm going to drift away from the board. What we want to do is actually point our arm across the wind to create maximum resistance against the kite and have our legs all the way out behind us in the water to ensure we're getting maximum resistance against the kite. I keep saying it, but it's important, so that we can cut across the wind so that we can tack back upwind to our board. Now when I'm doing this, I'm going to keep the kite nice and steady at a 45-degree angle in the sky. I'm going to put my hand, as I said, across the wind. And if you're not sure about wind direction, you've not done a lot of sailing sports before, the easiest way of finding where across the wind is if you park the kite above your head at 12 o'clock, point your hand straight above your head up towards the middle strut in the sky, and then bring your hand down to the side of you at a right angle like so, and that's going to allow you to know that you're pointing straight across the wind. It's parallel with the leading edge of the kite. Bring the kite down to the right hand in the water, legs behind you to create maximum resistance, and you're dragging across the wind like so. As you can see, as I turn around, I swap my hands over, have my left hand in the water, my right hand on the bar. One thing that's really important when you're swapping over, or you're tacking with this exercise, is that you do it slowly, because the process is all about holding your ground. If you dive the kite fast, it's going to pull you downwind. So when you start wanting to change direction and turn back and tack back in the other direction, or jibe back in the other direction, I should say, you'll want to make sure you're bringing that kite up above your head slowly. And another really key tip or pro tip here is to swing your legs underneath you as the kite goes up. You want to try and avoid this scenario. Let me just give you a quick illustration. Where the kite comes over too far and you start to twist backwards because you've forgotten to bring your legs underneath you. Really important as that kite goes to 12 o'clock. Let me just show you this again because it's important, this bit. As that kite goes to 12 o'clock, nice and slowly, you can even push the bar away at this point. Bring your legs underneath you, steer the kite back into position with both hands, right hand on the bar, left hand in the water, and across the wind, or up into the wind we go. Now the key with this exercise, or another key to this exercise, is making sure that we're not scrabbling to get back to the board. The focus should be to get upwind of the board so that you're ready to drift back down onto it. Let's take the cameraman, for example, in this scenario as the board, or you as the viewer are the board, as I come towards you. If I start coming towards you as the board, and then I get close and start trying to reach for it, look how quickly this process goes wrong as I drift away from you trying to catch the board. The scenario that we want to create is that we drift ourselves upwind, or we body drag ourselves upwind of the board so we can bring the kite to 12 o'clock and then drift downwind onto you. This exercise is super important, and more than anything, it is a bit stressful and it can get a bit annoying, particularly at these beginner stages, but it is something that you really, really want to practice, because as we're about to move on to getting onto the board after this exercise, if you can't do this effectively, every time you're going to go out, you're going to worry about falling into the water because of the faff that this exercise creates if you can't do it properly. The key thing to remember here is go through the fundamentals. You're trying to cut across the wind to get yourself upwind of the board. You're not pointing where you want to go, you're pointing across the wind to create maximum resistance to your body so that you can cut into the wind as you're being pulled by your kite. So last but not least, our fourth body drag, the balance body drag. And this body drag we use to get used to what we do when we put the board on our feet, trying to keep ourselves level in the water with our back to the wind. So with this one, we're not going to actually dive the kite around, we're just going to keep the kite nice and steady in the sky. I'm going to keep it above my head at 12 o'clock, sit down and actually put my feet up in front of me rather than behind me like we have the last three, and just get used to keeping my body straight in the water. Rather than kicking your legs though, if you start to spin, take one hand and paddle. Take one hand and paddle. Just remember, when you're flying the kite with one hand, you're putting that hand into the middle. So what we're doing here is just, as I'm spinning around here, I'm just trying to balance myself in the water and just getting used to keeping myself straight in the water, replicating what it's going to be like once I've got a board on my feet. That one's just a short little one that you can practice. It's a good one to go over, just getting used to what we're going to do next, actually putting the board on our feet, and just getting used to keeping balance in the water. So in summary there, we've done 4 body drags. We've got our downwind body drag, probably the most important one for your kite surfing, the crosswind body drag. The next one, which is important for your self-confidence, the upwind body drag, how to get back to your board. And the last one, the fourth wind, the balance body drag, getting us ready to get onto the board. I really thank you for coming in and looking at our videos again today, or our videos today, and hopefully this video has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up, like on the YouTube channel thing below is there, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks for joining the tribe today, and we'll see you on the water.